Picture Babylon, the richest city in the ancient world. Streets gleaming with stone, grand buildings reaching for the sky, and mountains of gold in the hands of clever merchants. But amid all this wealth, there were hard-working men and women, their pockets empty, dreaming of a life they could barely imagine. This is their story, and the story of how one man became the richest in Babylon. Simple rules, yet powerful enough to stand the test of time. If you want to learn how to make money work for you, grow lasting wealth, and live life on your own terms, lean in, because Arkad, Babylon's wealthiest man, is about to share his golden wisdom with you. Part 1. The Man Who Desired Gold. The story begins in ancient Babylon, once the wealthiest city in the world. There lived a chariot builder named Bonzir. He was hard-working and diligent, laboring all his life, yet his pockets were always empty. One afternoon, as he rested by the city wall, he looked at his wife, still struggling in their modest home, and at his friends, no better off, and a deep sadness filled his heart. I've worked tirelessly all these years, yet my purse remains empty. Why do I have no gold like everyone else? At that moment, Kobi, Bonzir's close friend, a harpist, passed by. He lamented that he was in the same situation, talented, employed, yet life revolved only around daily survival. The two friends sat and talked for a long while, realizing they had wasted their youth working hard without moving closer to wealth. They asked themselves, why do others have gold while we do not? During their conversation, they remembered Arkad, an old friend from their youth, who had become the richest man in Babylon. Both decided to seek him out and uncover the secret, how someone who started at the same point as them could become so wealthy. When they met Arkad, he was not distant. Instead, he shared his own story. He had once been as poor as they were, merely a scribe for a moneylender. One day, he realized that if he kept working only for wages, he would never become rich. So he bravely asked the moneylender, "How did you become wealthy? Please teach me." The moneylender looked at Arkad and said, "If you truly want to learn, I will teach you the secret of gold. From this day forward, always save at least 1/10 of what you earn. No matter how much you make, consider this portion yours alone. Never spend it." At first, Arkad found this hard. Like many, he thought that money was needed for countless expenses, leaving nothing to save. But he realized that unless he started immediately, he might never have money for himself. So Arkad committed to saving 1/10 of his monthly income, calling it his own gold. Over time, Arkad's purse began to fill. At first, just a few coins, then a full pouch of gold. Holding his own wealth gave him confidence and power he had never felt before. He understood that the difference between the rich and the poor was not the amount of work done, but in how they kept the fruits of their labor. Once he had money, Arkad continued to learn. He was taught that, never spend all you earn, never invest in anything you do not understand. Let your gold generate more gold, but always protect it from risk. By following these principles, Arkad's wealth grew steadily, and he became Babylon's richest man, not by luck, but through financial discipline and the mindset of accumulation. Hearing his story, Bonzir and Kobi realized a simple yet profound truth. Empty pockets will never be filled unless you learn to pay yourself first. Part 1 ends with the two friends returning home with a new belief. They no longer blamed fate, but began to understand that wealth is not a gift from the gods. It is the result of knowledge, discipline, and the right habits with every coin they earn. Part 2. The Richest Man in Babylon. After the story of the man with an empty purse, the narrative moves to Arkad's teaching once he had become Babylon's wealthiest and most respected man. The king invited Arkad to share the secrets of wealth with the people so they could learn to accumulate riches and help the nation prosper. Before a crowd gathered in the grand square, Arkad began his lecture with a question. Who among you wants gold? The crowd responded in unison. All of us. Arkad smiled and asked, Then why is it that, if everyone wants gold, only a few possess it? Silence fell. Then Arkad continued, Because they have learned the laws of gold, while the others have not. From there he began teaching the people the 7 cures for a lean purse, 7 golden principles of wealth, lessons drawn from his own life. 1. Start thy purse to fattening. Arkad emphasized, Pay yourself first. Whenever you receive income, save at least 1/10. No matter how little or much you earn, you can still save. He said, Money comes to those who value it, even in small amounts. 2. Control thy expenditures. Do not say you cannot save because expenses are too high. Most people spend according to desires, not needs. Arkad taught, Plan your necessary expenses, but only use what remains after saving. 3. Make thy gold multiply. Money should not lie idle. A coin in your hand can generate more coins if used wisely. Arkad advised safe investments, lending to trustworthy individuals for business, or contributing to ventures you understand. This is how money works for you, rather than you working endlessly for money. 4. Guard thy treasures from loss. Arkad recounted losing money through foolish investments, following inexperienced advice. The lesson: invest only in what you understand, or under the guidance of someone knowledgeable. Do not chase quick profits. The wise protect their gold before seeking to multiply it. 5. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. Arkad believed true freedom comes from owning your home. A house provides security and forms the foundation for wealth. He advised everyone to save to buy or build a home, rather than paying rent to others indefinitely. 6. Ensure a future income. Wealth is not only for the present, but also for security in old age and for one's family. Arkad recommended long-term investments, building sustainable income, such as investing in land, income-generating property, or learning a skill with lasting value. The wise plant golden seeds today to reap fruitful rewards tomorrow. 7. Increase thy ability to earn. Finally, Arkad taught, A wise person is always learning, for knowledge is the shield that protects wealth. Successful people never stop learning about their profession, money management, and human nature. True wealth begins in the mind before it appears in the purse. After his lecture, the people of Babylon were enlightened. They realized that wealth is not the privilege of a few, but the result of discipline, wisdom, and proper money management principles. Arkad concluded with a simple yet profound statement. Gold comes to those who save it, multiplies for those who invest it wisely, and departs from those who fail to respect it. The king then decreed that everyone should learn and practice these 7 cures for a lean purse. Babylon gradually grew richer and more prosperous, and Arkad's name became a symbol of wisdom, freedom, and abundance. Takeaway message: wealth is not magic. It is the result of small, consistent habits practiced daily with discipline and understanding. Part 3. The 5 Laws of Gold. The story begins when Arkad was an old man. He wanted to test his only son, Nomasir, to teach him the true value of wealth. Before Nomasir left Babylon to make his own way in the world, Arkad gave him 2 gifts: a bag of gold filled with wealth, and a tablet inscribed with the 5 Laws of Gold, carefully engraved in Babylonian script. Arkad said, "You may choose to use the gold or my wisdom. Return in 3 years and tell me which gift is more valuable." Nomasir left Babylon believing the bag of gold would make success easy. But life was not so simple. He spent recklessly, invested unwisely, and was deceived by schemes that seemed profitable. Soon the bag of gold was empty. In his distress, Nomasir remembered the tablet his father had given him, the 5 Laws of Gold. He read and reflected on each law and realized that ignorance, greed, and lack of discipline had caused his loss. He resolved to start again, this time following the laws. By practicing them consistently, he gradually regained wealth, reputation, and respect like his father. 3 years later, Nomasir returned to Babylon, not only with a fuller bag of gold but also with firm wisdom. Before his father, he said, "Father, I have recovered the gold I lost. But more importantly, I have learned the laws of gold, the rules that will ensure I am never poor again." The 5 Laws of Gold are as follows. Gold comes to those who save at least 1/10 of their earnings to build wealth for the future and their family. Lesson: wealth begins with the disciplined habit of saving. Gold works diligently and multiplies under the hands of a wise owner. Lesson: do not let money lie idle. Make it work for you. Gold stays with the cautious owner, who invests only in ventures they understand or under the guidance of those experienced. Lesson: knowledge and caution are the shields that protect wealth. Gold departs from an owner who tries to gain from investments they do not understand or follow advice from those not qualified. Lesson: greed and lack of understanding destroy wealth. Gold flees from the spender who wastes recklessly, dreams of quick riches, or demands unrealistic profits. Lesson: slow and steady accumulation is the only path to lasting wealth. When Arkad heard his son recount the journey, he smiled with satisfaction. He said, "I could give you gold, but I could not give you wisdom. Only when you lose gold but keep understanding are you truly rich." The story ends with a profound lesson. Wealth is not in the purse, but in the mind and principles of managing money. Key message: gold comes to those who understand and respect its laws. It departs from the hands of those who disregard wisdom. Part 4. The Gold Lender of Babylon. In the heart of ancient Babylon lived a man named Mathon, known far and wide as the wisest lender of gold. His home was always bustling with merchants, craftsmen, and borrowers seeking capital. Mathon did not just lend gold, he lent trust and financial discipline. A story of caution. One day, a close friend of Arkad brought his son to meet Mathon. The young man was about to marry and wanted to expand his business, so he came to ask for a loan. Mathon greeted him kindly but did not rush to agree. Instead, he asked carefully, "For what purpose will you use this gold? How will you repay it? If you fail, what security can you offer?" The young man hesitated and replied vaguely, saying, "Some of my friends said this idea is sure to succeed." Mathon smiled and said, "I do not lend based on dreams or enthusiasm. I lend only when the borrower understands where the gold will go and how it will return." First lesson: not everyone deserves to borrow gold. Mathon shared his wisdom. Many believe that because they need money, they deserve to borrow it. But gold does not care about their needs. It listens only to prudence and wisdom. He explained that a wise lender always asks, "Is the purpose of the loan clear and realistic? Does the borrower have a good reputation and proven reliability? Is there solid collateral or a trustworthy guarantor? If even one of these is uncertain, the gold will leave your hands and never return." Second lesson: a guarantor must be wise too. A young merchant once asked a friend to guarantee his loan. Out of affection, the friend agreed. The venture failed, the borrower disappeared, and the guarantor lost everything. Mathon said, "A foolish guarantor ties his own hands to another man's burden." One should guarantee only when confident that the borrower has both the ability and the honor to repay. Third lesson: financial reputation is worth more than gold. Mathon taught, "A man with a good reputation for repaying his debts will never lack gold to borrow." In Babylon, financial integrity was the true measure of a person's worth. Those who kept their word and paid on time found gold always within reach, for people were eager to trust them. But those who deceived, delayed, or broke promises, no matter how clever, found gold turning its back on them. Final lesson: gold obeys those who understand its laws. Mathon concluded, "I lend not to lose gold, but to make it grow. And that can only happen when one follows the principles of wisdom." He emphasized, "Never lend out of pity or emotion. Never invest out of greed. Lend only when the risks are known and the returns are reasonable." The message of Part 4. At the end of the story, Mathon said to his apprentice, "Remember this: gold is a faithful servant, but a ruthless master. If you let it leave your hands without knowing where it goes, do not expect it to return." Modern lessons to keep. Control your greed before you invest. Never lend or invest in what you do not understand. Integrity and discipline are the strongest guarantees of lasting wealth. Part 5. The Walls of Babylon. Babylon, the greatest city of the ancient world, was known not only for its immense wealth, but also for the mighty walls that surrounded it. The ancients used to say, "Without walls, there would be no Babylon." Those walls were symbols of safety, trust, and endurance, protecting not just gold and treasure, but the peace of mind of its people. When danger struck. One night, enemy armies surrounded Babylon. From atop the city's ramparts, people could see thousands of soldiers and siege engines stretching across the horizon. The drums of war thundered, and fear filled the air. Yet, while other cities trembled, the people of Babylon remained calm. They trusted their walls, built strong and tall through generations, so high no enemy could climb, so thick no ram could break through. A soldier turned to his commander and said, "We have food, water, and weapons enough. Our city cannot be breached. The people may sleep peacefully tonight." The author's metaphor. George Clason used the image of Babylon's walls as a metaphor for financial defense. He wrote, "The walls that protected Babylon are like the safeguards that protect each person's wealth and life. We cannot prevent war, illness, or misfortune, but we can build our walls before the storm arrives." Lesson 1. Build your walls before you need them. The wise prepare for hard times before they come, just as the Babylonians built their walls in times of peace, not under attack. Lesson: save money, buy insurance, Invest wisely. These are your personal walls of protection. Lesson 2. No one is safe without protection. The citizens of Babylon understood that without walls, even the richest city could be plundered overnight. Likewise, in modern life, if we only know how to earn but not how to protect, our wealth can vanish in a single misfortune, illness, crisis, or one reckless decision. Lesson: true wealth is not only the ability to make money, but the wisdom to keep it and shield it from loss. Lesson 3. Peace belongs to those who prepare. The people of Babylon could eat, sleep, and love in peace because they knew they were secure behind their walls. In the same way, a person with a strong financial foundation lives with freedom and calm, unshaken by debt or fear of tomorrow. Lesson: financial freedom is not about having endless money. It's the confidence that you won't easily fall when trouble comes. The end of Part 5. After many days of siege, the enemies grew weary and withdrew. Babylon stood firm, not because of miracles, but because of preparation before danger arrived. The author concluded, "The wise build their walls while the sun shines. The foolish search for shelter only after the rain begins." Key takeaways: build your financial walls through saving, insurance, secure investments, and contingency planning. Don't wait for crisis to learn defense. Peace in life comes from being prepared sooner than others. Part 6. The Slave of Babylon. This story tells of a man named Dabasir, once a prosperous and respected merchant of Babylon. Yet through reckless spending and uncontrolled borrowing, he lost everything: his money, his reputation, and his freedom. Unable to pay his debts, Dabasir fled Babylon, burdened by shame and despair. But fate caught up with him. He was captured by desert tribes and sold into slavery. From a man who once owned shops and servants, he became one himself, beaten, humiliated, and broken. From freedom to slavery, one misstep away. During his days of hardship, Dabasir often gazed at the setting sun over the desert and asked himself, "I was once a free man. Why must I now kneel before another?" He realized then, no one had stolen his freedom. He had sold it himself, to debt, weakness, and lack of discipline. The true slave is not bound by iron chains, but by his own spending habits and cowardice. The wise Arabian woman. One day, the wife of his master, a wise and kind woman, asked, "Why would a man of Babylon allow himself to become a slave?" Dabasir bowed his head and told her of his debts, his failures, and his shame. The woman replied, "You are not a slave unless you choose to be one. Freedom is not given by circumstance. It is born in the heart of those who dare to rise." Her words were like a spark in the darkness. Dabasir resolved to change. He would no longer live in disgrace. Dabasir's promise. He begged his master for permission to return to Babylon, vowing to repay every debt and live with honor. His master, seeing determination in his eyes, granted him a horse and provisions for the journey home. On the road back, Dabasir wrote in his journal, "Never again shall I enslave myself to debt. I will master my money, and it shall no longer master me." The plan to repay his debts. Back in Babylon, Dabasir humbly visited each creditor, apologized sincerely, and made a promise to repay. He divided his income into 3 parts: 10% to save for himself, 20% to repay his debts, 70% for his living expenses. He worked tirelessly, lived simply, and remained steadfast. Years passed, and at last, Dabasir paid his final coin to the last creditor. He smiled and said, "Now I am free, not merely because I owe no man, but because I have conquered myself." Lessons from Dabasir's story. No one remains a financial slave if they choose to rise. The cure for debt is not escape, but courage, discipline, and consistent action. Discipline is the key to freedom. Dabasir did not become rich overnight, but he regained something far greater: self-respect and confidence. Wealth begins when you spend less than you earn. If you cannot control the small coins, you will never control great wealth. The lasting message. Freedom is not the absence of debt. It is the power to control your money, rather than being controlled by it. Modern takeaways. Always live below your financial means. Even in debt, save at least 10%. That is the seed of your recovery. Keeping your financial promises rebuilds trust, opportunity, and honor. This book shares timeless lessons of money management from ancient Babylon. You'll learn to pay yourself first, saving at least 10% of your income, to control spending, avoiding the trap of living beyond your means, and to make money work for you through wise investment and protection of your assets. The stories of Arkad, Mathon, and Dabasir remind us that wealth is not born of luck, but of discipline, knowledge, and integrity. Build your financial walls, face and repay debts, invest in yourself, and live with purpose. If you practice these principles, you will gain true financial freedom, lasting wealth, and peace of mind, free from the fear of money or debt. That is the eternal wisdom of Babylon and of George S. Clausen.